Hello all, and welcome to another Hyper Blue movie review. I wanted to give a short review on a series that I enjoy. While I love me some horror films, the sci-fi genre is another genre I can get behind. Combine it with the horror genre and you can really get some masterpieces. I mean, just look at Alien. One of my favorite movie series from the sci-fi horror genre is the Cube trilogy. Now, Cube is a spectacular take on human nature as the film follows 6 individuals that are trapped in a mechanical structure that spans multiple cubes in all directions. The entire structure? Shaped like a cube. Crazy, I know. The 6 main characters have to be careful because some rooms are death traps, whereas others will allow safe passage into another cube. It's up to the characters to keep their calm and figure out the pattern in order to escape. In addition, the cubes also move around, making the pattern even more complex. Of course, the characters don't always agree with one another, and some end up becoming more aggressive as the movie goes on. One cool fact about Cube is that there's only one cube that's used at any given time. The makers of the film achieved the look and feel of different rooms by changing the interior colors. The film has drama, tension, and mystery and will keep you at the edge of your seat as the characters traverse the cube. There isn't a clear answer on why anything is happening, and it's left up to the viewer's imagination to fill in those gaps. And I have to say, this is incredibly effective for this movie. Again, I can't recommend this movie enough. It's a must-watch for any fans of sci-fi or horror. Cube gets 5 out of 5 cubes from me. Next up, Cube 2. So Cube 2, Hypercube, goes in an entirely different direction from the first. While the scenario is very much similar to the first film, there's a cube and people are trying to escape, we're now introduced to the concept of a hypercube. And no, there's no relation to Hyper Blue. The hypercube is a 4D structure that is able to bend time and space. This leads to more inventive kills as any room can now be a death trap. Each of the rooms within the hypercube is a bright white, a drastic difference from the dark environment from the first movie. Again, the people within the hypercube have to use their wit in order to escape, but with the structure that can constantly change, that's easier said than done. Towards the end of the film, we find out that the hypercube is collapsing in on itself due to its volatile nature. I won't spoil the ending to this one because there is a twist, but I will say that it leaves a lasting impression. Cube 2 is what happens when a studio demands a sequel, but they knew they couldn't top the successful atmosphere of the first, so they went all out on the sci-fi tropes in the sequel. It's an interesting addition to the series, and I appreciate that it tried to do something different with the franchise. The tension from the first film isn't here though, and the mystery is also lacking. That being said, Cube 2 Hypercube is a decent sequel that attempts to do something clever with the series. I give it 3.5 Hypercubes out of 5. While Cube 2 goes in an interesting direction with the movie series, Cube 0 brings us back to its roots. In fact, as its title suggests, Cube 0 is a prequel, and it brings everything back to the basics. All that being said though, Cube 0 is what you shouldn't do with a successful movie franchise. And let me explain what I mean by that. Instead of coming up with a new scenario or group of people and how they interact with one another, the movie focuses primarily on what's happening behind the scenes. That's right, this film commits an atrocity by attempting to explain everything that happened in the first movie by just blatantly telling the audience the what and the why. The plot of the movie revolves around one of the workers that is watching over the newest group of people in the cube. He decides to go against his boss's wishes and help the group escape because he feels bad about their situation, I guess. Cube 0 also plays around with other ideas that don't make a lot of sense, such as mind control. To go into more detail would probably ruin the experience, but given that this movie attempts to ruin the franchise, I still won't go into spoilers. Cube Zero is definitely the weakest entry in the series and should honestly just be avoided given that it ruins the feel of the first movie. The only thing it has going for it is the ridiculous plot and funny character actions. Cube Zero is a prequel that no one wanted, that tries to ruin the original by giving us details we never asked for. I give it 1 cube out of 5. All that being said, I still highly recommend checking out the entire Cube series. Cube is filled with tension and drama that will keep you at the edge of your seat as you watch the characters try to figure out what's going on. Hypercube is an interesting sci-fi movie that tried to reinvent the Cube series. And Cube Zero is honestly a mess, but it is a movie you can laugh at. I would watch it to say that you have watched it, but quickly forget about it because it does screw up the atmosphere of the first movie. You may also groan and roll your eyes at some of the explanations, but you need to take the bad with the good, I guess. One interesting tidbit that I actually discovered while putting this review or retrospective together is that Cube is actually getting a remake. Apparently it's coming out in Japan in October of 2021, and I'm honestly very excited to see how the remake handles the story from the original. There is a trailer for the new remake on YouTube if you're curious. It showed enough to get me interested without spoiling anything. So, what do you think about the Cube series if you've seen them? What's your favorite sci-fi horror movie? Let me know down in the comments, and as always, thank you for watching.